Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the English, Maths and ESOL Conference. My name's Stephen Evans. I'm the Chief Executive of the Learning and Work Institute. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this conference today. This is taking place, of course, during our Lifelong Learning Week, which celebrates the best in adult learning and tries to inspire more adults to learn. We've had loads of activities going on during the week so far. It's been action-packed, and thank you to everyone who's attended and put on events and taster sessions and lots of other stuff. We've got a really packed agenda this morning as well on a really important topic, which I'll say more about in a second. And look out as well tomorrow for nominations for our Festival of Learning Awards for 2022 opening up. So look out for those opening up tomorrow. So an action-packed week. And in terms of this morning, if you are on social media, please do use the hashtag ESOL21. So tweet away using that hashtag. Also, please do put your questions and comments for speakers as we go along in the Q&A tab as well, and we'll try and get through as many of those as we can as we go along as well. So a little bit of background from me as to why we're holding this event. So this first infographic comes from a report that we published a few weeks back, and I might ask the team if they wouldn't mind putting the link to the report in the chat when they've got a moment. So it starts with the importance of basic skills, and I feel like I'm probably preaching to the converted here if you've chosen to come to an English, Maths and ESOL conference, but I think it's helpful sometimes to bring some of this together. So we know that basic skills like literacy, numeracy, digital have a really big impact on your chances of finding work, your chances of progressing at work, your chances of progressing to further learning as well, and also lots of wider social benefits like improved health and well-being, new friends, new connections, better able to access public services, a whole bunch of benefits like that. So I think these basic, we call them basic skills, but those core skills really are a fundamental building block for so much of what we all need to do in life and work in the 21st century. So given that importance, it's a bit worrying that you see the other half of this picture, which shows the scale of basic skills needs across England in particular. Those similar pictures are likely to be replicated elsewhere in the UK. So we've got 9 million working age adults with low numeracy or digital, low literacy or numeracy skills, and 22% of adults lacking those digital life skills as well. And yet, the numbers of people taking part in those basic skills classes or provision has fallen 60% or so for English and maths in particular over the last decade. So we've got this really important set of skills and capabilities. We've got a really big need, and yet participation and provision has plummeted over the last decade. Now, some of that is about government cuts to the adult education budget. You can see the stat there. It's basically been halved in real terms over the last decade, but it's about more than that as well, and we want to discuss some of that today. So there's a real need here for us to do something and take collective action. So if we move on to the next slide, please. So to kick off Lifelong Learning Week, we published our latest adult participation in learning survey on Monday. You can find that through our website, along with the last 25 years worth of data. We've got loads of data in there. We specifically asked this year about English and maths provision because of that core basic skills need. And what we found is that only 2 in 5 adults know that you can get free English and maths classes and digital classes as well. And so there's a real contrast between that and the scale of the need. And actually, if you look at the next slide as well, you can see that it's those who are perhaps most likely to need or be able to benefit from basic skills provision that are least likely to know about it. So if you left full-time education at an earlier age, if you have lower levels of previous qualifications, you haven't engaged in learning recently, you're less likely to know about this free English and maths and digital skills provision, and yet you're perhaps most likely to need it. So we've got a knowledge and awareness gap there for sure. And then just on to the next slide, please. So that's the kind of the challenge, I guess, set up. We've got these really important skills and capabilities. We've got a really large number of people, an acceptably large number of people in the sixth richest economy in the world who have low literacy, digital or numeracy skills. And we've got low awareness of some of the provision that's out there and declining participation. So that's the kind of depressing bit. I guess that hopefully we want to be a bit more optimistic through the course of this event. What can we do about it? So this slide shows you what people said might encourage them to engage in basic skills learning. I think there is a prior point that a significant proportion of people said nothing would persuade them. And actually, you know, we need to think about how to inspire that group of people to want to learn or to see the benefits or to think about getting engaged. But looking beyond that, the other reasons people or the other options people give are about being able to take the course online. So we've seen a real spike in online learning during the pandemic, part of a longer term trend that spiked up further. So online learning definitely comes in there, and blended learning, I would argue, as well. Flexibility to fit learning around work and family. You know, that's kind of comes up time and again in all kinds of learning. So that's something for us to reflect on. Similarly, course locations. These are about convenience as much as anything, and allowing learning to fit around people's lives rather than expecting people to fit around learning options. And then lastly, this is the aspiration and inspiration point. So understanding how the course would benefit me personally. So I think we've got some really rich data, as well as all the experience that everyone on this event has about what might inspire adults to want to get into that basic skills learning, and some of the really great practice that's going on to do some of these things that are on this slide as well. So I think there's lots for us to build on there, lots for us to think about, lots for us to reflect on. And this is why we came together with HOLEX and a number of other organisations to set up the Skills for Life Alliance. And that followed on from the 20th anniversary of the Moser report, which first highlighted some pretty similar numbers, I have to say, to what I went through earlier, and then the Skills for Life strategy. So we came together and said, well, you know, it's all going, participation is going down, we need it to go up. What can we do about it? So that Skills for Life Alliance, we'll come back to that during the course of this event today, but we're trying to think about understanding that declining participation, thinking about how we can reverse it, and some of the really great practice out there that's doing that now. But then also thinking about what do we collectively need to ask for, and more money is definitely on the list, but I think it's about more than money as well, given what adults are telling us here. So that hopefully sets up a bit of the discussion. What we're trying to get to is what can we do about this? What can we do to inspire adults to want to get into that literacy, numeracy, digital, or the basic skills provision? What do we need to do with the provision so it fits around people's lives, and how do we engage them? So that's the task for today. We've got lots of really fantastic speakers. We've got examples from elsewhere around the world, as well as in the UK. So hopefully that will kind of inspire us on in the work of that alliance as well. But I wanted to start by hearing from some learners and learning providers as well, so we kind of get that first-hand experience. And so I'm really pleased that we have a number of Festival of Learning ambassadors with us this morning. So we have Kirsty Young, who won the Return to Learning Festival of Learning Award, and Shahida Aslam, who's the operations manager at the Helena Kennedy Foundation. And we also have Razia Fez, who was in the English language learning category, and Sarah Kremer, who's the curriculum manager for English and ESOL at Redbridge Institute. So morning, everybody, and hopefully you can all, the technology's all working as well as it can do. So Kirsty, perhaps if I start with you, if I can, I'm interested in kind of what your experience about learning, what motivated you to sign up to learning, what were you hoping to get out of it?
Well, I think when I returned to learning, I was 19. I had 3 children at that point, and I'd come out of a really horrible situation because I'd been groomed and exploited as a child. So by the time I came back to education, I was quite damaged as an individual. And when I was reunited with my family, it was my mum actually that said she felt education was the route for me. And I think she thought that really for a variety of reasons. First of all, something to look forward to, a goal moving forward, but also it's that social side, learning how to develop relationships, and really trying not to focus on the past and trying to move forward.
Great. And how did so you kind of talked about what sort of motivated you to get in to learning. How did you feel when you kind of first joined that class, and how was that kind of experience of joining for the first time?
Wow, is what I felt. So I was very conscious that everybody there would be younger than me, and I was a bit conscious of that. I was worried, would I be able to make friends, because I've been isolated so long that I actually didn't even know how to make a conversation with someone. Experiences at school were still played on my mind. I didn't find school particularly easy. So I was worried about that. But actually, once I got there, I was glad that, I'm sorry, my voice, I was glad that I was there, actually. But it did take me a couple of weeks to settle in.
And yeah, I think we've all had those experiences where we're sort of going into something really new and different, or something we haven't done for years and years and years, and it's kind of quite intimidating sometimes at first, and then you kind of think, oh, I remember why I've done this, kind of why I wanted to do this. So in terms of that sort of remembering why I wanted to do this, can you maybe say a little bit about the difference of then going into that learning and doing that adult education? What difference has it made for you?
Well, I suddenly learned that actually I could have a future, and I'd never thought that I could have a future before. And so difference to me was it gave me a future. So I was able to learn skills, new things. I made friendships. It sounds ridiculous, but I learned about the world, which is so silly. But when you've been kept away from it for so long, even simple things like class discussions, you learn about the world, you learn about different things. And it just so it motivated me in the end. And I thought, do you know what? I like this. I actually like being here. I'd quite like a job where I can help other people who similarly haven't come from privileged backgrounds, or who have come from backgrounds where maybe there's challenges, or again, adults re-entering education. So it gave me hope and motivation out there.
Fabulous. And then just lastly for now, because you talked about what you wanted to go on and do after you sort of gone into that learning. Do you want to say a little bit about what you've done since and what that's led on to?
Well, originally I started on a level 1 health and social care, and I really didn't think I was clever enough to do it. That's all I kept saying to teachers. I can't do this. I can't do this. Before I knew it, I'd completed the level 3. And then one of my tutors, I thought it was crazy when he said to me, Kirsty, go to university. And I thought, me? University? Universities don't take people like me. So I went to university at Hull, and I graduated in 2014 in children's interprofessional studies. So basically working with children, young people and families. And now I've started my PGCE. So I'm hoping to teach people who've got additional needs, or maybe those that have disengaged from education, let's say, and have recently returned.
Fabulous. Kirsty, that's an amazing set of achievements. You should be incredibly proud. This is one of those things where if we were all actually physically in a room, you would now be getting a round of applause from everybody who's at the conference. So you're going to have to imagine all the applause, I'm afraid, because we're all on this sort of kind of virtual world. But so there's an amazing set of achievements. So well done.
Thank you.
I'll come back to you at the end just for one last question. But Shahida, I mean, I mean, I guess you must be super proud of Kirsty's achievements. So do you want to maybe say a little bit about the changes that you've seen in Kirsty that she was describing as she kind of went through that learning?
Yeah, so thank you, Stephen. Yeah, so as a charity, we've been going for over 20 years now, and I've had the privilege of getting to know students one-to-one because we're so small. And Kirsty was a winner from 2007. So when I joined later on in 2012, you know, I started connecting with students. But with Kirsty, we help people. I wrote down the quote when she said, "People like me don't go to universities," and those are the kind of people we help. But with Kirsty, she has really blown me away because she's done all of that, but now she still continues to learn. So she's an ambassador for HKF as well. But along with her PGC that she started, her confidence has grown. She's been on the radio, and these are skills that, you know, she's never been on the radio before, but then she went on to do, and I've heard her, and she's just developed so much. And then not only she's making a difference to herself, but she's made a difference to her family as well. And, you know, we know of other winners who they change themselves and they make an impact on their family, and then the family then has an impact on wider society. So yeah, we love Kirsty at the charity and at HKF, and I really admire her, what she's doing.
Well, I hope Kirsty's writing down that quote as well. So, more generally, so as I said at the start, one of the things we're trying to talk about today is how do we inspire more adults to get into learning and to want to learn and tackle some of the, you know, barriers that perhaps might be there or people might feel are there. What's your kind of experience of that? What sort of things do you think we should be looking at?
I think we as individuals need to take responsibility about helping our fellow individuals and our fellow friends as well, and making them aware that this support was out there. I mean, that statistic you mentioned about 2 in 5 people don't know that the courses are free, but also you know, raising more awareness of this. And, you know, I'll put my hand up, I wouldn't have known that statistic that is free because there's been so many government cuts, and you know, there's lots of other courses that people wanted to take, but the fact that you can still do English and maths is amazing. You know, sadly, I know firsthand there are other people out there who they don't, you know, I personally know somebody who can't read, but now but I've noticed that he found coping mechanisms. So, oh, I've lost my reading glasses, or you know, I can't read this properly, my eyes are hurting, whatever. But I think it's just letting them know and just picking up on the signals on and making them aware of all the support that's out there.
And just one more question, if I may. So the government's, we'll talk about this in a bit. The government's announced a new multiply programme, which is basically about sort of trying to get more adults into numeracy learning. And it's not clear if that's how much of that's extra money compared to what was already in the system. But it's good to see that kind of focus and priority there. So one of the things they're looking at is a mixture of face-to-face learning and more online learning and online tutoring and things like that. And you saw the stat earlier about adults saying that or a number of adults saying they'd be interested in online learning. I'm kind of particularly, I guess we've had the pandemic as well. I'm interested in your kind of experiences of that and whether you think that's a kind of route to sort of inspire more adults in.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the way forward. Again, speaking from personal experience, you know, as a single parent as well, I work full time, but I've managed to take advantage of online learning. And I think that is the way to go. But then on the other hand, we need to make sure that whoever's taking advantage of that, they're equipped with the equipment, the computer's working, the Wi-Fi signal is in place, and they have the know-how, like literally knowing how to even switch the computer on, how to use the mouse and everything. And surprisingly, you know, we shouldn't be surprised, but there's still people out there who don't know how to get a computer and switch it on. You know, my parents, for instance, they wouldn't know. But I think it's just making sure all the small details have been taken care of. It's great, you know, here's the money, do what you want with it, but making sure all the infrastructure is in place. So I definitely think that's the right way to go. I did an ILM, and I've never done, I went back to studying after 20 years, and even I was taken aback as to what's involved and how you have to do coursework, and making sure, you deal with your fellow students in a certain way and everything. So it's a very brave step, but I think if the support is there, people need to be taking advantage of that. And as well as the technical side of things, make sure there's like a mentor in place or someone they can turn to let them know, how they're feeling. And the pastoral care is what I'm trying to get at, is that, that they can access the support, and they've got someone to turn to if they've got issues with childcare, mental health problems, anything else, that's bothering them. Sorry, that's a bit long-winded, but
no, they're all really good and important points, I think, and I think this is why I would argue, I think you kind of need the literacy, numeracy, digital, and that wider support together, rather than the risk of doing the sort of numeracy thing on its own is, and trying to focus on online, is what happens if you haven't got the digital skills or the digital kit and there isn't the provision there to get that. So I think thinking of these things in the round, absolutely spot on. Sheila, thank you for that, and also thank you for the brilliant work that the foundation does, because you do fabulous stuff. So thank you for that and for sharing this morning along with Kirsty. I'm going to move on, and Razia, perhaps if I can turn to you, can you just tell us a little bit about what motivated you to sign up to adult learning?
Yeah, first of all, I have to say thank you to inviting me for this conference. Yeah, the things motivated me was my family and my children, because I always wanted to be a mom who the children be proud of it, but without knowing English, without being able to communicate with other, it was impossible. So for very basic thing like a GP appointment, or I don't know, for meeting my parents, meeting for my children, I was relied on my husband, and I felt very helpless. And I thought I have to do something to be independent and do all the things for my children and make their future better. So that was the thing that motivated me.
Fabulous. Yeah, I think a lot of people are motivated by wanting to, whether it's helping children or engage in, access public services or whatever it happens to be, or make new friends, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And can you so that was what motivated you to take up learning. How did you feel when you were joining a class for the first time? Was it nervous, or was it exciting, or?
Yeah, it was both, a bit of both. I was excited, I was nervous, and I've done my study back home, but here it was completely different. But I felt really, I felt like I have to be here. This is where I should be, and this is the first step. And I felt, yeah, this is the right place I have to be, and this is the first step, and this is the right step to go where I want to be.
Great. I think we're building up some good quotes this morning. This is where I have to be is a great quote. And what about what difference has learning made to you? What sort of benefits have you seen?
Oh, basically a lot. It completely changed my life. I made lots of friends, built my confidence, because before that, after such a long time, I've been at home most of the time. I never have a connection with outside. I never had to socialize with other. I was always scared to start communication with other, because I thought I might have made a mistake, or because the way I speak and my accent and things like that. So, but now I'm very confident. I put a step forward to start communication, and making lots of friends, being in community, doing lots of volunteer work. It really changed my life. And my children and my husband, my family, friends, everyone knows how much I achieved. And for me, it's such a big achievement and such a big steps. Yeah, and I feel this is just beginning for my journey, and I might do much more than this.
Fabulous. Razia, congratulations on your achievements so far, and all the stuff that's going to come next as well. And again, a bit like with Kirsty, you will have to imagine everybody is at home applauding away. So, but congratulations on all of your achievements. It's absolutely fantastic. I will come back to you just for a quick final question at the end, along with Kirsty as well. And Sarah, I mean, you kind of nominated Razia and worked with her. What sorts of changes did you see with her as she went through that learning?
Well, excuse me, sorry, I'm struggling with my voice a bit, so apologies to everybody. As an institute, Redbridge Institute, we've seen massive changes in Razia. She started back at entry to ESOL, which is really just kind of post-beginner. And she had a little break while she had her children, and then started again in 2015. And in that time, she's moved from through the ESOL courses up to level 1, and then level 2 English, and then GCSE English. She's also done childcare courses and TA courses, and now she's doing GCSE maths. She's done employability and bookkeeping courses. I just mention those because you can sort of see a real journey there. When I talked to her about the changes, I think the big thing that she said, which is what we usually see in adult learning, is that she's so much more confident. I think that really comes over as well in a, in something like this. She said that, before she was worried about even starting off a conversation because she was worried that because her English wasn't very good, she would make a mistake. And her teachers have talked about how she's a real team player now in class. She's the person who's motivating others. She mentioned a little bit herself there, how she's motivated her family. She's got her sisters-in-law doing courses as well, and she's become a little bit of an ambassador in her community. She arranges events, and she also she did some letter writing courses, and so she's helping people who have to write formal letters. So she's really become quite an ambassador for learning herself. She's very ambitious. I know that's the title of this conference. She's very ambitious, and I was talking to her this week, and she was telling me that she has now got a placement as a teaching assistant. She's also just also received paid work as a teaching assistant. And this is from somebody who was too nervous to go and talk to teachers herself, her children's teachers. And she hopes in the future to go to university as well, and maybe become a teacher herself. Great. So, a real change, a real trajectory there.
Thank you, Sarah. I think, improved confidence, which improves so many aspects of our lives, and then going on to help others are the two things that I hear most often. So inspirational. And thank you for kind of sharing that experience, and for doing so while you've got a sore throat as well, and also for all the great work the Redbridge Institute does as well. So thank you for that. I'm going to, conscious of time, I'm just going to ask Kirsty and Razia just one last very quick question, if I may. So Kirsty, if I come to you first, what would you say to other adults that are thinking about getting into learning? What advice would you give them?
I would say go to the college or the training centre, wherever it is, and talk to the guidance team. Book an appointment, go speak to them, because if you do have any anxieties or worries, that's the place where you can discuss them. And I'm sure they'll put the majority of them at ease, because there will be other people like you. And actually, just take the first step, because you're not going to regret it. You have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Fabulous. I think that's brilliant advice. And another, I'm adding to my list of great quotes this morning as well. That's a great one to finish with. Thank you, Kirsty. And Razia, same question to you, really. What advice would you give to other adults who are thinking about getting back into learning?
Yeah, the main thing is just make your mind and make the decision. You can do it. Just believe in yourself and just put this step forward, and be sure there are people to support you. Especially in this country, you've got lots of opportunity. You should use them and never lose them. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah, use your opportunities, don't lose those opportunities. There we go. Oh, that's going on my list of quotes as well. I'm going to need a bigger book. Razia, Kirsty, Sarah and Shahida, thank you so much for sharing all of your examples and stories and experiences. I think that's such an inspirational way to start our event today. So congratulations on all of your achievements and the great work your different organisations do as well. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences this morning. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.